Best of r/entitled parents episode 152. Subscribe for edit videos daily. Let me introduce you to a new Karen, the Indian Karen, a little longer hair tied into a ponytail and rolled into a bun that serves the function of hiding all of the 7 deadly sins. A voice shrill enough to make all the street cows turn their head to look at their mistress. A gold necklace to announce her dreaded arrival. One that I encountered. I don't know if anyone has read this article. Basically, it tells how some scientists converted coronavirus's famous spike protein into music. I have no idea if it's legit. I thought it's true. It's cool if someone was able to do it and thought I should share it, so I did. To Karen's son, good person, good friend. He is happy that smart people are left in the world. The next morning my mom calls me from the other room, and I pick up. This was the conversation. In Punjabi, this is a rough translation. Me, hi Mo, Karen, you cocksucker, sister fucker, Sanuvabik. How dare you infect my family? At this point, I just woke up and I'm still in the weird half asleep phase, wondering to which sister I never had she was talking about. Mom, shut up Karen, don't you dare speak to my son like that. Karen, I'll speak. Mom, shut up or I am hanging up. Me, what's going on? Who are you? Mom, me, I have Mrs. Karen on conference. Did you give her son coronavirus? Me, what? No. Karen, don't you lie, I have seen the music you send my son. It's coronavirus. It took me a full minute to realize what she was talking about, and then it hit me. Me, have you even read the article? Karen, don't you talk back to your elders. Mom, you're acting pretty elderly now. Those two argued for 15 plus minutes. They started yelling at each other about other things like I am a bad influence. Karen doesn't know how to talk to anyone. Stuff like that. Me, it's a translation of what scientists at MIT. I put the phone on speaker, opened the article and started reading all the technical terms which her 5th dropout ass would not understand. Karen, you are not making any sense. Gasp, you're lying. To Mom, you taught him to lie. What kind of mother are you? She finally breaks me. Me, apparently better than you. Did, friend, show this to you? Or did you open his phone without him knowing? Again. Karen, that is none of your business. I cut the call and immediately call my friend. I tell him everything. He's mad. This was the 6th time this month she has gone through his phone. Her excuse being, I don't want any local harlot to corrupt his son. It is my duty to make his son marry a proper Sikh girl without any distraction. Thank you. Next. Posted about my mother before. And don't really feel like getting into all she's done. I've been arguing with her since I got home at 6:30, 8:09 now, because I told her that I got a stimulus check in my account after she said that my sister got hers. Instantly she was trying to claim it was hers and started going off on me. She keeps claiming it's her check because she has some of her social security deposited into my account. The other is placed into her account. I don't know why she did that, but she did. She went on the last hour trying to say it was hers and that I basically needed to give it to her, all the while knowing that someone made a near $100 fraudulent charge on my account last night. I've filed my taxes on my own and not as a dependent. She hasn't done taxes since like 2014. It's like she doesn't even care that they'll deposit hers into her account. She just straight up harasses me and says I'm lying and that it's hers. She knows that I've been working my butt off at my job since I'm essential. To where she and my sister were saying I needed to stop working and file unemployment. She knows that I'm stressed and does this. Anything dealing with money she prioritizes and instantly goes into some sort of mode where that's all she cares about. It honestly makes me feel guilty for fighting back with her on it. I didn't want to tell her because I felt this kind of thing would happen, and I wish I kept my mouth shut, especially since it's caused my stepfather to join in, and shockingly defend me, and they're still arguing. I feel like she will blame that on me as well since she's already admitted, with my sister and niece in the discussion, that she blames me for even marrying him when I was 7, now 22. I'm sorry if this just turned into a rambling mess. I'm just tired. Thank you. Next. So I work at a grocery store as a cashier. I'm chilling at my register and this lady comes over and starts loading her groceries on the belt like normal, whatever. Then she takes out an open bag of veggie chips and says, I opened these up to try them and they taste terrible. I'd like to return them. I was thinking, are you fucking serious? And I guess my face showed it because she said, is there an expiration date or something? I wanted to get sea salt chips for my kids, but these are terrible. You can't even taste the sea salt. I couldn't believe I really had to do this, but I had to explain to this woman that you can't return an open bag of chips. She was gonna have to pay since she opened them. I dead as thought she was gonna ask to speak to the manager, but thankfully she didn't because she said she didn't have time for this crap and just paid. I feel bad because this woman's kids are gonna be raised to think they're entitled to walk into a store, open things up, and return them if they don't like them. It could have been worse though. My manager could have had to deal with her. Thank you. Next. The entitled mother in this story is my aunt's father's sister, mother-in-law, my cousin's grandmother. Ever since my aunt married her husband, an awesome guy, his mother had been very critical of her. She was a strong woman. She had survived on her own in 1940s rural Mexico, before marrying a doctor who made good money. Even then, she insisted on being independent, kept her job and managed her finances, all while raising my aunt's husband and his siblings almost on her own. Instead of making her a humble person understanding of others' difficulties, she became a bitter woman who hated everyone who had it easier than her. It didn't help that her husband died at a young age. Dealing with her was also very difficult. You were either with her or against her. She controlled her children with an iron fist, and tried to control every single aspect of their lives. Who they befriended, who they dated, where they traveled, what they studied. She was never outright abusive or rude to my aunt, but it was obvious that she didn't like her, or any other of her daughters and sons-in-law for that matter. But she was very nice to her grandchildren. She liked giving them nice gifts and cooking all their favorite dishes. The first time I met her, I thought she was the sweetest old lady for how she treated my cousin. It was until she lashed at me for disagreeing with her on the tiniest thing that I realized how she was. The 19th of September, 2017. A strong earthquake shook Mexico City. Hundreds of people lost their lives, and thousands lost their homes. Among them, my aunt and her family. They went to the only place they could go, to her mother-in-law's house. My cousin was the most affected. She witnessed how a part of her high school collapsed, killing a couple of students, and she lost her home. At first, my cousin's grandmother was delighted to have them home. She thought my aunt would be her servant, while she could spend all her day talking to her son and spoiling my cousin. But my aunt and her husband still had to work, and my cousin was in no condition to be spoiled. Her grandmother was furious. 2 days after the earthquake, my aunt realized my cousin was getting worse, and called a psychological support line established specifically help those affected by the earthquake. My cousin's grandmother heard them, and lashed against her. If she had dealt with much worse, including 2 devastating earthquakes more, and had survived, my cousin could too. It's just that she was too weak and pathetic. My aunt tried to defend her, only to be met with insults and the implication that her husband's worst mistake was marrying her. When my cousin's father arrived, they all argued for hours. He demanded an apology from his mother, who responded by throwing them out of her house. They had to go and live with a family friend for a couple of months. He promised that he would never talk to his mother until he apologized to his wife and daughter. Instead, my cousin's grandmother tried to have her other children on her side. None of them agreed with her. They all knew what had happened and everyone sided with my cousin's family. She was furious. She demanded all of her children to apologize for disagreeing with her. When none did, she cut them off. She wouldn't cave in. She wouldn't accept she was in the wrong. She would rather never talk to any of her children or grandchildren again that admit she was wrong. Cute. Yesterday, my cousin received a call from her grandmother's brother. She had died earlier from COVID-19 complications. None of her children knew she had caught it. None of her grandchildren knew she was in the hospital. She had finally died alone, but at least she didn't have to admit she was wrong. Thank you. Next. So, a little backstory. My mom is Polish and my dad is also Polish, but is also a good amount of Scottish. Also, I just got told all of this, so details might be wrong. My mother is entitled, and I am her son, and she isn't really an entitled parent in a traditional sense, but rather an entitled person who is also a parent. So, when my dad moved out because of our mother's entitledness, He took his grandfather's World War II medals with him. Picture at the bottom of the post. And before this we had no idea that we were anything but Polish, thanks to the image our mother puts in our heads. He told us that he never allowed him to put his grandfather's World War II medals in his own home. I generally looked at my mother in a pretty good light, but now, I can see right through her facade. I confronted her about it, and her reasoning was that she didn't have any background other than Polish, so common sense would dictate that I wasn't anything but Polish. I'm 25% Scottish. I told my dad what she said, and we spent an entire afternoon talking about what racist things, don't know what else to call it, sorry, she's done while in their marriage. Nothing truly blood boiling, but I take great offense to this. Thanks for listening to my rant. Sorry if I sound bratty or needy, but I get that way whenever I get mad. Metals. Edit. I'm gonna answer some questions that popped up. Q. Why would your dad marry her in the first place? A. She didn't show entitlement until she was pregnant with me, and she used the baby trap. Q. Was your dad's grandfather Scottish? A. Yes, but he married to a Polish woman. Thank you. Next. TL. Doctor at bottom. Cast. ED. Entitled dad. EK. Entitled kid. Me. Knee. Nice employee. SG. Security guard. Manager. This happened a while ago, and I thought I would share it since I've had a few friends tell me I should post about it here. Back in November of 2018, I had saved up some money and decided I'll buy my younger brother a Nintendo Switch for Christmas so that we could play whenever I was home, or he could play with his friends. I had saved enough money from a part-time job and decided to buy the Super Smash Ultimate version of the Switch, which costed like $60 more, but it came with a code to unlock the game when it released. So I headed to GameStop, and it was sold out. I went to 2 other GameStops before eventually deciding to go to Target to try and get one, and lucky me, there was still one left, so I quickly asked the employee to unlock the little protected display box so I could buy it, and I head to the register. As I was waiting in line I see EK and ED walk in and I hear this. EK, hey, there's no more left. ED, they probably have some in the back. Go ask the worker. EK walks up to me. EK, hey, do you guys have any more of these? Shows his dad's phone screen with what I am assuming to be a Nintendo Switch. Super Smash Ultimate Edition. Nee, sorry kid, we only have what's on display and someone just bought the last one a minute ago. EK walks back to his dad and tells him. ED looks up and sees me checking out at the register and walks over. ED, hey, sorry to ask but can we buy that Switch and you take that one? Points to the normal ones back in the display box. My son really wants that one. Me, sorry, I'm buying this for my little brother, he really loves Super Smash. ED, I don't see him, where is he? Me, I'm getting it for him for Christmas, it's a surprise. ED, well, if you're giving it to him on Christmas, then give me yours and you can come back when they have more. Me, I'm really sorry but I've already paid for this, showing him receipt, and I don't want to deal driving around again looking for a store that has them. ED, okay, I'm going to ask you one more time, give me the Switch or you'll regret it. Me, for the last time, I'm keeping this one, I already bought it and I'm leaving now. All the while, EK is just trying to tell his dad to get the normal one and they will buy the game later. I wish ED, EK, and the cashier a good night and I start leaving. Then ED takes his perfect opportunity to kick me in the back, grab the Switch and bolt for the door with EK. This is when SG, who was paying attention to everything going on, steps in and grabs him before he could leave. Now SG, who is about half a foot taller and twice as big as ED, proceeds to grab him by the shoulders and forces him back into the store while telling the cashier to call the police. Nee makes sure I'm okay, it hurts a lot. I was on the ground for about a minute, I'm in some pain, and had bruises for a good while afterwards. Manager finally comes after a few moments and Nee explains the situation. Police eventually come and are told the story, and he was arrested for multiple things including assault and theft. They ask me if I wanted to press charges, and of course I do. EK was picked up by his mom, who bought him the regular Switch before leaving and I got my Switch. Brother ended up loving the gift. We play Smash all the time, and he's gotten numerous other games from me and other family members since then. TL. Doctor, I go to Target to buy a Switch for my brother, Edie wants it, assaults me, then tries to steal it and is arrested by police. Thank you. Next. Hey everyone, first time poster and not from an English speaking country, so please bear with me. A bit of backstory. My father's sister is the most entitled person I've ever met in my life. She loves my dad but she still feels like she and her kids should have priority in his life even though he has his own family. As a result she is always comparing her kids with us. Also, me and my sister have always been the smart ones in the family, so she tries her best to establish dominance by portraying her daughters as the only beautiful people in the family. They are fairer in skin color, hence beautiful. Anyways, to the story. So her younger daughter got married a few months ago. She and I are almost the same age and have been inseparable since I can remember, hence I was really excited for her wedding. Now about a year ago we were all gathered at our place to discuss all the upcoming functions etc. There are a lot of family members but the involved cast is me, aka me, S, my younger sister, EA, entitled aunt, NU, nice uncle, EA's husband. So we're seated in our living room and discussing about the bachelorette party. Now in our culture we don't call elder brothers or sisters by their name. We use D followed by the name as a sign of respect. But I never called my cousin D as she is only a year older than me. So here goes the dialogue. Me, we can decide on a place later. Tell me where John, her fiance, name changed, is going on his bachelor's. As my cousin is about to answer, EA, OP. How dare you call your elder brother-in-law by his name? Don't you have any respect for him? She screams so hard that everyone becomes silent for a moment and dumbfounded. I had met John a few times and even he doesn't want me to give that respect to him. What's wrong with that? She calls her cousin by her name too. EA, but he's her husband. She should respect him. Me, I don't think he minds. Plus how would cousin feel if I give respect to her husband and not her? EA starts to speak again but NU cuts her off. NU, let them decide what they want to call each other. They're adults. Let them do whatever they're comfortable with. EA gives me a strong glare and people continue with their discussions. Needless to say, no plans were made that day. TLDR, entitled aunt thinks her son-in-law deserves respect and tries to insult me in front of our entire family. I've a lot more stories about her, and about my cousin too. Yes, she did convert her into an EK eventually. A lot of other drama unfolded on the wedding, so if you want me to, I'll post more of her stories. Edit. For people who are wondering, it's India. Also, thank you all for the upvotes on my first post. We'll definitely post more soon. Upside down face.